Hello, everyone. My name is Amber.
And I'm Lucy.
And today we are back with another episode of Let's Travel Vet Med Style. And we know we've been gone for a long time. We're so sorry. We will do a catch-up episode soon. But today we have a really exciting guest. We think you guys are going to love her. Lucky enough to call her my friend, but she is also just like a bad biatch, and you need to hear her story. So today we have Dr. Amy Lewis in the house. All right. So she lives here in Chiang Mai in the same location that I am. That's how we met. But she is the International Projects Manager for Mission Rabies, and she is also the International Coordinator for WVS. So super fascinating job. She has seen so many parts of the world through her work. And we like to introduce you to her and let you hear her story. Hey, Amy.
Hey everybody. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Right? I know. We're excited.
Yeah.
I know I kind of gave you like a brief introduction, but do you mind kind of giving us a proper introduction, who you are, where you're from, where you went to vet school, all that fun stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as Amber said, I'm Amy Lewis. The doctor seems very strange. We don't really have that as much in the UK. It's sort of like a honorary title. We don't get automatically given it. But so Dr. Amy Lewis graduated in 2017 from Liverpool Vet School. Nice. So up in the north of England, for people that don't know much about UK geography. And I've been working with Mission Rabies ever since I graduated, so for 5 years, and then I came on with WVS 2020, just before the pandemic. I always really struggle to describe my job because it is sort of all encompassing.
Literally.
So I kind of split it up into two. The Mission Rabies side is running rabies vaccination projects. So either small scale proof of concept projects or larger scale working with governments. And the projects are focusing all around rabies control, mostly canine vaccination, but also surveillance as well. So working with sort of a One Health concept using human bite data to identify rabid dogs. Amazing. So that's the Mission Rabies side. And then, so a lot of that's been laptop based recently because I haven't been able to get to the countries, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then for WVS, so I am an actual vet, although I haven't practiced much. So my role mostly in Thailand is to work with the incredible Thai veterinary team that we have here, trying to make their jobs as easy as possible. A lot of admin-based stuff, bringing them together, discussing cases, planning outreaches, and basically trying to optimize the work and the training that we do.
Love that.
I think that as well is an amazing point to highlight, and obviously we'll probably talk about it more later, but the fact that you don't have to be a practicing vet and go out there, and you don't have to be practicing, there's so many other things that you can bring to volunteering abroad.
100%. Yeah. And I know Amy's really passionate. I had to ask her kind of her feelings and the actual definition of One Health, because that's exactly what her job is in every form of the word. But it's her job offers her like such an incredible way to see the world, helping animals and people. Like, I don't know if it gets more impactful than that. Like, it's wild to wrap your mind around. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
So what trip initially sparked your interest in making travel like a normal part of your life?
It was a one-off email that circulated around uni. I think I was in the middle of first year vet school exams, and email popped into my inbox, basically like, this brand new charity is looking for volunteers to come out and vaccinate. They're looking to do 50,000 dogs in a month in 14 different locations across India. If you're interested, send an email to these people. And I mean, I was in the middle of exams, and so I wanted to distract myself as much as possible from revision. So I went 100%. looking up this charity, and like it said, it was brand new. It literally just been set up. This was the very first project, and they were incredibly ambitious. And I just knew that I had to get involved. I'd been to India once before. I did one of those like student travel trips where you go and do a month. We went up into the Himalayas, and that just gave me the travel bug. It was the most amazing trip ever. And so, going back to India was absolutely the top of my list. And so, yeah, that summer, I literally signed up pretty much then and there with my best mate at uni. And that summer we were running around in 40-degree heat in all of the houses around the outside of Kolkata Airport. And it was just like with all of the local dog catchers and working with local community members and just basically catching as many dogs as possible and vaccinating them against rabies. And it was exhausting. We started at 4:30 every morning and worked until the sun went down. But it was the most rewarding trip I had ever done in my life. And I was just like, how do I get more of this in my life? So yeah, that was the first trip.
Oh my God.
She just caught the bug. She caught the bug, like us all.
How could you not with that experience?
That sounds amazing.
And that's so cool too. I didn't realize that you had started volunteering with Mission Rabies right from the beginning. So you've really gotten the opportunity to see the organization transform into what it is today, like firsthand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as you said, like it was just a small charity back then, and now look, like
it's
well,
amazing.
So Mission Rabies actually started as a project of WVS. It was just like a side project of Worldwide Veterinary Service, and then we realized they realized, I wasn't part of it then, how huge this undertaking actually is to try and make a big dent in rabies around the world. And so they made it a completely different charity after that, because
there's so much to it.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, that's such a cool experience to have, and just watching it develop over the years. That's amazing. But so this kind of branches us into the next question we have for you then. Can you kind of give us an explanation of how, like, your journey from volunteer work to your actual position now? Because I know you had explained to me that it was your volunteer work that was essentially like your interview for your position now. So can you kind of explain that to everybody? I think it's really cool to know that volunteering may open the door for an incredible career down the line.
100%. Yeah, it was essentially a 3.5-year job interview. So as I said, my very first project with them was at first year of vet school. I was really fortunate that I was able to have the money and the time to be able to do that first project. And then as soon as they released the next project, I was like, I'm there. I'm totally there. So what Mission Rabies ended up doing is we started off with, we actually managed 60,000 dogs in 30 days. In 14 different places around India. But then, of course, that was great to set everything off. And then we realized, right, now we've got the proof of concept, let's scale this down and really focus all of our energy in one area. Wow. So the next project that Mission Rabies did that I was involved in was a mass sterilization campaign in the state of Goa.
Oh, cool.
So Goa really is the smallest state in India, and it's got a big border around the outside of jungle and then sea on the other side. So it was the perfect place to try out rabies control because it was kind of contained.
Totally.
And so we started off with, in the first 6 months, we did 20,000 sterilizations in 6 months with, I think at the end, we had 6 different hubs, each with 4 or 5 vets working dawn till dusk, and then obviously a massive vet nursing team and catching team. So I spent a month, I was there for the last month of the project, and yeah, it was incredible. So that was that was after second year of vet school. And that was hands-on. I was pretty much in a nursing role, so in charge of sedation and the initial prep, and then it would sort of go down a conveyor belt of all of these other nurses.
An assembly line.
Loved it. Absolutely got the bug. It was so much fun. I left that, went back to uni, and was like, it really motivated me. So then third year, I took it up another notch, and I wrote to Mission Rabies and asked to use some of their data for my what's it called, like thesis type thing. So third year report. So then I got into the whole science side of it and the research side of things and the geospatial analysis of dog movements and all of that really cool stuff. I've become a data nerd.
They were like, we gotta get this girl on our team.
To start.
I know. I'd look at it. What am I looking at again?
Yeah.
Tell me one time.
So that got me involved in sort of like so we've got an app where you record all of the data and you have all the GPS points, so that when we vaccinate dogs, you know exactly where the dogs were picked up. followed up with post-vaccination surveys. So I was basically given a big chunk of that data for my research
Cool.
thesis, and could just
Wow.
dive into that. And that I loved that.
Yeah,
But of course that wasn't enough for me.
sure.
So I decided I wanted to do a project of my own, collecting my own data. And so I said to Mission Rabies, look, you've done all this amazing work in Goa doing 20,000 sterilizations. How about I come in a year later and do 7 weeks of research, walking the streets, dog site surveys, household surveys. So that's what I did.
I did not know this. This is wild.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was incredibly fortunate that MSD Animal Health, they have I can't remember the name of the award, but it's basically an award for one student per British university to get like a funding, like £2,000, I think it was, funding for research.
Oh,
amazing.
So I was able to fund my trip with that and go out to India, and I didn't have to put too much of my own money in. So that was really amazing.
That's so cool.
So I worked with some Indian students out there. We got up at when the sun was getting up and walked the streets and counted dogs, and then started knocking on people's houses and asked them all sorts of questions about what their attitudes are towards dogs, ownership practices, all of that sort of thing. So I just really got a feel for the general community's perception of the work that Mission Rabies and WVS were doing as well.
Of course. It's
And
amazing.
then, like President Loke wrote a whole research paper on that, not a publishable one, but presented it to MSD and some other people. So that was super cool.
Amazing.
And
that's
then
fascinating.
that I squeezed in is they started up Malawi just before my third year exams. And you have time off before exams to study. But I went to Malawi for 2 weeks.
You're like, I'll get some hands-on study time with something. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I would be out working with the teams in Malawi all day, and then come home, and everyone else would be having a drink and chilling out, and I'd be doing the revision. So
gosh.
Wow. Okay. So you obviously had like the most incredible interview ever, and they were like, wow, we need this like data genius on our side.
Yeah.
And they offered you the position directly out of vet school?
They actually, So I was in the middle of Wales on a family holiday, and I get an email in between, I think it was 4th year summer. And it's basically them being like, would you be interested in an internship with us? Completely out of the blue. We hadn't talked about it at all. And I was like,
so good.
Yeah. I pretended to think about it. I pretended that I was considering my options for 3 days. But really, I mean, come on.
You're like, you're shaking. You can't wait to respond to the email. Give me a second. Oh my God. That's amazing.
So obviously, you did all of this while you were at vet school then. So what would be, like, obviously, did you not find that hard though, studying around it? But obviously it was worth it for you. But if there was vet students out there thinking, I want to do something, but I'm just struggling with finding the time to volunteer, like, what would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I did most of mine in the summer holidays, and you have a little bit of extra time in that. But also, if you get more than 51% in your first 3 years of vet school, you're working way too hard. So just like measure it out a bit. I scraped by, but I had a lot of life experiences. I was never a straight A student.
No.
But look at you now, like, you're doing amazing work.
Exactly.
Incredible.
And no one ever asks you, what score did you get on the parapsychology exam?
Love
That's
that.
not a thing.
Or even how many times you've taken it. Like, nobody cares. Like, literally nobody cares.
Some of the
Everybody
best nurses
Googles
I know.
everything.
Yeah.
So true. Me and Amy were just talking the other day about how we have to like Google the dumbest stuff when you watch. Like, you can be so knowledgeable in one thing, and you're like, what's this generic name? Like, I'm sorry. Like, come on now.
Well, when you go to like, maybe this is me, but when you just go to calculate something, you're like, why did I need a calculator just to do that really easy stuff?
Every day. With my spelling in my articles, I'm like, is that how you spell orange? Like, it's just dumb stuff like that. So don't worry. No worries.
But we're here. Look at us all go. We're winning.
We're here. We're doing it. But I know this next one is an open-ended question, and if it's too difficult, you could definitely paraphrase because I'm sure there's so much that goes into it. But so previously, we had a guest on the show that was a volunteer with Mission Rabies. I don't know if you are familiar with Lou the vet nurse. She's amazing.
I am.
Yes. So it was really fascinating to learn about the volunteer side of things, especially as a vet nurse. But you obviously have the opposite take on it because you're kind of behind the scenes, planning it, organizing everything. So in the easiest way, I guess, possible, I know it'll be a lot, but what goes into these missions? Like, okay, so if you now, I know you talk about the administration aspect, talking to the government, the planning, the months that go into planning a new Mission Rabies location. Can you kind of tell us that process if possible?
I can give it a go.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry. I know it's a lot, but just would be really interesting to know.
No, it's all good. I mean, yeah, so I've set up a couple of projects from scratch, and you literally start with Google. Trying to gather as much information as possible. And I'll tell you what, there is barely anything out there about rabies in these things. And that's the reason we're going most of the time. It's because there is a great need.
Wow.
The reason we set up our project in Malawi actually is because an article in the Lancet an article that was published in the Lancet showed that Blantyre Hospital, which is one of the largest cities in southern Malawi, had the highest number of child rabies deaths in any hospital in the whole of Africa.
Wow.
So that's why we went there. That was literally the article that was like, we see this, it's a massive problem, we can do something about it.
Yeah.
So normally it's something like that, which will give us an idea of location that we'll start with. It's a great need, or it's being contacted by another charity that's really struggling, or a government that wants some assistance.
Okay.
Or sometimes, other international organizations will ask us, have you thought about going here? But yeah, that one in Malawi was a heartbreaking statistic, and we were like, we can definitely do something about this. Because that's the thing with rabies, it's so vaccine preventable.
Yeah.
People are losing quite a lot of faith in vaccines at the moment, but rabies.
Right, we're talking about rabies here. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I would assume then in those situations when it's child deaths, is almost all the time, is it directly correlated to infected dog bites?
So 99% of rabies is from infected dog bites.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
So it hugely is. And children are vastly overrepresented in rabies cases. So a study in India a couple of years back found that between 40 to 60% of human rabies deaths were in children.
Wow.
Oh my God.
A lot
sad,
of
isn't it?
Because the children will be playing with the puppies. Puppies can get rabies quite easily.
Yeah.
The children will get bitten, or they won't even realize that they've got bitten, and then they won't tell the parents because they weren't supposed to be playing with the puppies in the first place. And the next thing you know, the child is showing symptoms, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It's the most heartbreaking disease ever. It really is.
Terrible. Oh, that all makes so much sense. And wow. So
that's the need that we identify to begin with. It's where's their most need, and then we start doing the research. So reaching out to local charities to try and get the lay of the land. We always try and partner with a charity on the ground, because obviously we're a big international organization. We don't want to come in and just dictate. That's not what we're about. Sustainability is at the absolute core of everything that we do.
100%.
And so partnering with local charities, local governments, local education institutions. In Cambodia, we're partnering with the Pasteur Institute. So they provide rabies vaccinations at very low cost after bites. So they were absolutely essential that we worked with them in Cambodia.
Totally.
So yeah, we'll lay the foundation, try and get as many people on board with the project.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much set some dates and start planning.
Love that. And
sorry, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, so once you have everything set underway, so that's when you start putting out the feelers for volunteers and kind of crafting your team and knowing how many bodies that you'll have on the ground then.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I normally start with the maps. So I'll look at the area we want to cover, split it up, then figure out how many teams we need. Obviously, costs vary as well in terms of transport and staffing and all of that sort of thing. So basically, work on the maps, work on the budget, figure out the the capacity. We normally aim in a proof of concept project to do 5,000 dogs.
Wow.
And then, figure out how many volunteers can we get on this project, how many opportunities can we offer to people, and work out a budget for them, and then start advertising.
So cool.
So amazing.
Yeah, honestly, it's just mind blown just thinking about it. And not only thinking about the fact that, yes, you have your own volunteers that are working with Mission Rabies, but you also have to like organize the help of the government volunteers or workers on the ground, like, because you can't do it without their you have to do it with them. So like just the dictation of everybody involved is really so impressive. It's just fascinating to think about.
We try as much as possible to get veterinary students involved, because they're the future of the veterinary profession. So getting them thinking about rabies early on is really beneficial. And if we can get them on a project and get them inspired by rabies control, when they then go on and get jobs in practice or in government, they're already thinking, right, we need to help try and fix this. So that's absolutely essential for us and for the sustainability aspect.
Especially in those endemic areas. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lucy.
No. I was just going to say, it's just one of those things that when you're like lucky, especially for us in the UK where we just don't even have rabies here, like it's something that we're just blind to because it's not something we ever have to think about. So when you go out there and you see these problems firsthand, you're like, this is such a problem, like I can do something to help. So
and I think people forget too, is like I try to explain to people that it directly ties into animal welfare in a different aspect than you would think, because I learned this working in Cambodia, is that so many people are so incredibly fearful of dogs and animals in general because of the impact that rabies has had on them or their family at some point throughout their lives. So when you're tackling this issue, of course, the main issue is targeting the lives that are lost from it, but also the overall care of the animals moving forward, because the less people that are fearful, because they know that there's not this scary disease waiting around every corner, the better the life will be for the animals in the future as well. So really, these missions are targeting so many different aspects of animal welfare in the area.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. And actually, that's another one of the reasons that we'll go into an area. Often it's there'll be mass culling of dogs.
It's the same in Morocco when I went there for the cats.
And it's just sad. Not effective. The dog population is back to normal within at least 3 years, and then you have an unsterilized, uncontrolled, and unvaccinated population, which is more dangerous than the population you had beforehand. So, and probably because of the ones that you're going to have caught are going to be the weaker ones, you're going to have a really, really strong population of potentially rabid and highly virulent dogs. So,
never even thought about it like that, but God, there's so many layers to it. And isn't it so wild to think that something, I know it's not simple, but theoretically something as simple as a rabies vaccination plan moving forward can solve so many of these issues in the long run. I mean, it may take time, obviously, to see the results, but it's crazy.
You are completely right. It is actually pretty simple.
It's really wild.
You just got to get the jabs in the dogs. It's just a bit of hard work.
Totally. Oh.
So how can you just tell us a bit about your transition from traveling, just frequently going to different places, and then now you're settling down in Chiang Mai with WVS? How do you feel about, because it's a big jump, isn't it, to settle down in one place?
Massive. As Amber knows, I spent the first 3 years working for Mission Rabies. I'd spend a maximum of 6 weeks in the UK at a time. So I really I couldn't really put down roots. I'm not complaining. It was amazing. The first year that I worked with the charity, I ran 6 different projects in 6 different countries across 3 continents. So it was incredible. But I would literally bounce from projects. I'd do like a 2-week project, but I'd probably be out there for 3 or 4 weeks. And then I'd come back to the UK, be planning the next one, go out, spend a month, come back to the UK, do a bit. And it was constant. It was nonstop. So much fun. As a new grad, this is like, oh my God, this is like the best job in the world. I'm getting paid to do this. This is amazing.
Totally.
And then, I was given the opportunity to come out to Thailand in February 2020. And I had all brilliant plans to use Thailand as a hub to then bounce to Myanmar, bounce to Cambodia, bounce to Vietnam, bounce to Laos. But I was like, this will be great because it's only a couple of hours as opposed to like
Yeah.
14, 15-hour trips that I had been doing.
Be bouncing all over Southeast Asia.
Yes. And I did my one bounce. I literally, so I got here end of February, bounced to Cambodia, bounced back on the 14th of March, and the borders to Thailand closed on the 17th. So I literally just got a flat, and that was me locked down for pretty much 3 months. Now Thailand didn't have it as bad as a lot of other places, but I just moved to this country. I barely knew anyone apart from my work colleagues, and I didn't know them that well either. And also I was working from home because I hadn't got into the whole working with the training center yet. Okay. And so it was just me and my laptop for the first 3 months in this.
Wow. Oh my God.
Which meant I got a lot of work done, but I was a workaholic at that point and had no social life. And so I just got loads and loads of work done, and it was great.
Yeah.
But it was the first time in 3 years. Well, first time in probably 8 years, because uni was such a roller coaster.
Yeah.
That I actually sat down and was alone with my own thoughts.
Oh yeah. And you're like,
which I think a lot of people experience, right?
Like, who am I? I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, I've got shit to work on.
In every aspect. I know.
So yeah, I mean, I've talked about therapy a lot with Amber before, and I know you guys have talked about mental health, and I think it's so important to talk about these things. But as soon as lockdown was lifted slightly, I got myself a therapist because I was like, I need to work on some things. Yeah. Like my head, when it was just that, was not a fun place to be.
Yeah. Like,
and there's something to be said. Oh, go ahead, Lucy. I'm so sorry.
No. No, I was just going to say, like, I don't even know why it's still a taboo thing, because it's literally just talking to someone who can actually just give you valid responses, and just being able to just talk to someone and not have it all in your head. Like,
yes,
it's, of course, that's going to be beneficial to everyone. Absolutely everyone would be able to benefit from a bit of
in this field. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Even something that seems as benign as possible, you know, even if you think that you aren't struggling with, you know, seeing a lot of suffering in your line of work, you still have like lives in your hands. There's a lot of stress on your shoulders. Like, I can't even, come on, like everybody in this. But
also, it should never have to get to like a breaking point before you then like cave and talk to someone. It should just never have to get to that point.
Yeah, you shouldn't need to put on grippy socks like whenever. I don't know if you guys know that reference.
No, but I liked it.
It's the mental hospital reference. They give you grippy socks.
Oh,
that's what it was.
Oh,
why?
God.
Because you can't slip that way when you're walking down the halls. Duh, you need grippy socks.
Oh, okay. Well,
anyway,
there we go.
So I'm sorry, Amy, back to how it was adapting to settling down in one place.
But yeah, so got out of lockdown. Thailand was starting to go back to normal a little bit. This is sort of summer 2020, and we were like, oh, the pandemic's over, this is great. Back into work, properly starting to work with the center. It was going well. I was starting to work with the team. And then the big project that I was planning for Cambodia had to be pulled because none of the countries were easing their travel restrictions. And so we couldn't get the team in to train all of the local people to be able to run the project. So we were planning on this massive project that was going to be really sustainable. It was going to be government led with us coming in to do training. And then that had to be postponed. Not cancelled, postponed. And I got dragged back to the UK just when I was settling into Chiang Mai life. Got dragged back, moved back in with my mother. And worked on laptop stuff again, worked from home for another 8 months. And then I was very fortunate that the clinical director of WVS out here decided to step down, and Luke, our CEO, got me on the phone and was like, look, we need to replace him. Do you want to go out again and give it another shot? I was like, absolutely. So later I moved out here on a 2.5-year contract and haven't looked back since.
Yay!
And of course I can't speak for you, but I'm pretty sure that you really love Chiang Mai.
It is amazing. I say it to say, like, Chiang Mai has ruined every other place for me. Like, you've got I mean, you've seen my flat, Amber. I've got a beautiful flat overlooking the whole of the Doisetep mountain range.
Really?
Absolutely insanity. You can see Doisetep from her window, and Doisetep is like the big like tourist attraction temple here. Like it's stunning, and it sits at the top of a big mountain that all of Chiang Mai kind of looks at. You can see it from her window.
Oh my God.
Insane.
And then with that, obviously all the hiking, and you've got the convenience of the city. The people are amazing. There's a great expat community out here as well.
Yeah, I imagine.
I've become obsessed with CrossFit.
She has. She's the one.
The ranging.
I got Amber back into it.
It was you that got Amber into it.
Yeah, she basically told me one day, you're going with me, and I was like, okay. And then I did, and then I just, was my life for a little bit.
Yeah.
Amy is very dedicated. I stopped going.
Yeah.
But Amy's still on it, hardcore, so she's doing great.
My housemate in Barcelona is obsessed with CrossFit too, so I might have to just like go with him one day.
Do it.
It's addictive, but it's the community as well.
It is.
Living an expat lifestyle, as you both know, it can be quite isolating and lonely. Like if you don't connect with people, then it can be really tough, because essentially you've left all of the things that you know back home, and you're in this strange city with people that are lovely, but it's very easy to feel what's the expression, sort of like alone in a crowded room.
So true.
A lot of the interactions that we have as expats is very surface level. It's like, what do you do? Where are you from? Do you know that Mercury's in retrograde right now? We
have so many of those here in Chiang Mai. Yeah.
But a lot of that can be very superficial, and so it can be quite lonely. And so finding some sort of outlet where you can connect with people and spend extended time with them, which I found through CrossFit, is just so beneficial.
And I went with I went with my housemate to a CrossFit competition. It was on his birthday. We went to watch him, and I got so into it because it was like everyone was so supportive of each other. All the team was like looking after each other. It just was such a nice atmosphere. I was like, I mean, I'm not a fit gal, but maybe I could be persuaded, because this is lovely.
That wasn't either,
cool thing,
but it's
you don't have to be. No. I'm totally not. Like, I am always like I was typically finishing the last in all the classes. My cardio game sucks, downright sucks. That's all I can say. So I was always like barely finishing if I did finish, and everybody's so cool about it, like nobody, everybody's like, good job, you tried. I'm like,
that's nice.
It's all about it's challenging yourself to better your past self. I'm never going to lift the crazy weights that some of the guys at the gym, and some of the girls actually. Not all the guys. We're very good friends with one of the incredibly fit girls at the at the bar.
Insanity.
But no, so that was awesome to sort of connect, and that was the first time in 3.5 years, well actually 4 years probably, that I was able to develop a proper work-life balance. Which I hadn't realized how important that was until I then got it, and there was like, I cannot lose this. I love my job. It's absolutely amazing. I get to do all these incredible things. But if it is 100% my life and I have no other outlets, like, that's just not healthy.
So
and also, like you were saying before, it's so easy to get caught up in the suffering and the bad stuff that you see at work. And if that's all you've got, and you've not got a way to express yourself with people that have no idea the sort of stuff that you go through on a daily basis, I find that so important.
So true.
And it's something that's incredibly hard with veterinary, I think. Both
our industry is terrible for it, because even as a student, you sort of like, that's how it's enrolled, because you're working full time. Well, I was anyway. You work full time when you're studying, and then you're also studying, doing assignments, doing your MPL, then doing exams that you're revising for whilst working full time. It's just insane.
Yeah.
And then people qualify and then they do certificates. And then you're still in this like cycle of like, actually, there's no
So true.
break.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact, it's the culture of it. It's seen as a badge of honor. Oh, I worked all day today, worked through my lunch break, worked 2 hours beyond my working times. And it's like, why?
Why
is this acceptable? Why do you not do that? And then your employer realizes, oh, not all the work is getting done. I need to employ more staff.
Yeah.
100%. It doesn't, this
but if
entire
we keep
field
picking
is
up
like,
the slack, it's not going to work.
It's a suffering competition in vet med, and I don't get it. Why? I never understood that. I remember working at the ER. I would like be there for maybe 6 hours, get lunch, and somebody who's been there for 10 hours would be like, I haven't even eaten yet. Why?
Yeah, why?
I'm sorry. What's
on
you?
That's not impressive.
Yeah, I'm just eating.
Bad.
I'm taking a quick like 10-minute break to shove a sandwich in my mouth. That is not my problem. I'm so sorry. Nope. Don't get it. Oh my God. Well, yeah. So this is talking to us. We're going to go in a million different directions. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. It's what you signed up for. But we'll steer it back. So like,
well,
I know. Oh, do it.
Sorry. No, I want to add one more thing. So for all the good, like I say girls, but people that aren't like out there, for expats as well. When I was in Barcelona, I found a really good community was the Girl Gone International community.
Yeah.
GGI, and they have like Facebook groups on for every different city. So they had like Madrid, Barcelona, and it's just full of like girls similar age, similar thing. They're all just expats, and they're like, I'm from here. I'd love to reach out and meet some girls. Like I met 2 of my really good friends from Barcelona who love musicals, and like it was really nice. It's such a good community. So that's another thing if you don't want to go to CrossFit, for anyone out there listening.
Yeah, you don't have to push yourself to the physical limit to meet friends.
Yeah, and if you're not a girl and you're listening, there is other expat groups. There's like loads. So if you literally just type in Barcelona expat or wherever you are.
So true. There is anyone that any place that I've ever traveled to, there is a group that you can find online to figure out, what to do in the area, people who want to meet up, people with like-minded, interests, things like that. So,
and also like handy tips, especially with like COVID and stuff, because people will put in like, oh, just a tip, if you're traveling from here to here, you need this now. Or...
So true.
Yeah. They've been an absolute lifesaver over the past 2 years. Like some of these forums, they'll just be like, I don't understand any of this. What do I need to do? And you can just look through all of these pages, ask questions. You often get some snooty remarks. Like not everybody on those pages are lovely, but as long as you can handle that, then you get some good information as well. Yeah, it's Facebook.
Literally, it is what you think it's going to be. But that's so true. There's always a bunch of tools, especially if you're interested in living this type of lifestyle. That's another thing I cover in my most recent blog that I wrote, is that people assume solo travel is lonely, and it doesn't. It can be. It depends on how you do it, but it doesn't have to be. So there's so many different resources and just different routes you can explore to make not even just friends, but like long-lasting friends,
and they always are.
So
it
true.
is, isn't it?
So true.
I think one of the differences when you're an expat as well is the places you normally go to, people are way more open to new friendships. So I find back home, everybody's got their bubble. They've got the people they go to the pub with, they've got the people they grew up with, they've got the people that they went to uni with. And people are not as willing to expand that social circle. No. Whereas when you come out to a place like this, it's expected that you're just going to meet amazing new people. And everyone's just so much more open to that. And it's another thing that I absolutely love about the expat life.
So true. I agree 100%. Yeah. And that fits Lucy to a T. I think that's why I think she would really love Chiang Mai. Because
I will come. I do need to come.
For sure.
Just don't book a return ticket because you won't be going.
Oh, don't. No. I fall in love with every place that I go to. That's my problem. I can't ever just do something as a one-off because I always end up going back.
Well, look at Amy. She did one volunteer trip with Mission Rabies and then was doing like a data presentation. Like, I mean, come on now. There you go. Yeah. But okay, so then the next thing that we're curious about is, and you can obviously see this through scrolling through the website, but just in case we're missing anything, can you kind of give us an idea of the different ways that veterinary professionals can volunteer with either WVS or Mission Rabies, like maybe vet nurses and veterinarians? Like what different ways can you jump in and assist when you go on a volunteer mission?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a real variety. I'll start with Mission Rabies because that's the easiest one to explain. So Mission Rabies, we run 2-week projects at various times throughout the year whenever it suits the country we're working with. And that is open to everybody. So that's vets, vet nurses, non-veterinary people, young, old. I think you've got to be 18. But yeah, if you're fit and healthy and willing to put a lot of work in, then Mission Rabies projects for you. We often have a lot of couples coming where sort of one is a veterinary person and the other one isn't. So it's actually a really good way that they can get involved and contribute equally. Because some of the other projects, like the partner that gets dragged along is either sunning themselves on the beach or is getting a bit bored, or is doing the cleaning. With the Mission Rabies projects, everybody gets stuck in. You'll go out with a local team, and either, depending on the vaccination project, you'll either be stationed at a static point, so a school or something, and all the dogs will be brought to you. And if you are veterinary trained, then you'll be able to do the vaccination. If you're not, then it's all of the other admin side of the whole project. So the vaccination really is only one tiny part. You've got to paint mark the dogs, you've got to organize the people, you've got to do vaccination cards, you've got to enter all of the data into our smartphone app, which is how we keep track of the whole project and keep accountability. So everyone can just get completely stuck in. If you're not at a static point, then you go door to door, and that is my absolute favorite part of the Mission Rabies projects, is walking door to door in these communities, because you can go to a place as a tourist and you will only see the shiny parts. When you're walking door to door trying to find all of the dogs in an area, you actually see a country.
So true.
And I've had some of the most amazing times walking with a local guide through mountains in Malawi, through slums in India, through like coastal cities in Sri Lanka. And you see people brushing their teeth and doing their laundry and playing with their kids in their garden. And you see all of these beautiful sights and smells and colors and people. And you are constantly fighting away offers of food and tea and sitting down in the shade. And honestly, you could just go out there, vaccinate one dog, and then like be sitting in people's houses for the rest of the day, because the kindness from people, it's amazing. I always leave those door-to-door days with a massive smile on my face, exhausted because you've walked many, many miles in a day, up and down hills, through forests and mountains. It's it's tiring, but it's so rewarding, and it's the absolute best way to see a country, and people are so friendly and so welcoming. So that's anyone can get involved in the Mission Rabies projects with that. And that's missionrabies.com has got all the volunteer opportunities on there. It'll be like a brief description of the project, and then the participation fee. And and then once that's paid, all of your accommodation and food and everything, that's what the fee is for. So we have that all covered and all organized. So you've literally just got to book your flights, sort out your visa, and then get your ass to the country.
There you go. It's such a wonderful first travel adventure as well, because sure, it may be a little it may be overwhelming at times, and you may experience some culture shock, but you're not doing it alone. So many aspects of the trip are handled for you, and but yet you still get to have such an awesome experience. So I always try to point people in the direction of Mission Rabies if they want to have be participating in an impactful mission, but they really don't have to jump too far out of their comfort zone. So it's amazing.
We provide a lot of support for people beforehand, because a lot of people come as their first trips, because it's sort of volunteering 101.
Totally. And then WVS, how do people get involved with WVS?
So this really varies, because basically WVS partners with many local charities charities around the world. I'm very naughty, but I can't remember how many there are. Lots. There's a variety of different types of projects. So some projects will be running year round, and they are just looking for volunteers at any time of the year. And you can volunteer normally a minimum of 2 weeks. Some places take a minimum of 1, but all of these requirements are on the website. And then up to a year plus. We also advertise jobs as well. If any of our partner charities are looking for paid vets that they'll pay, or vet nurses, then we advertise that as well. Some you can go at any point in time. And then normally they'll provide accommodation, or they will let you know how much a local accommodation place will be. They will have checked it all out. They run health and safety checks and things like that to make sure that it's all legit. You're not going to stay in like this horrible back alley or anything. And so that can either be vet nurse. We do have some non-veterinary opportunities as well with some of the charities we partner with.
Cool.
And so it's a real variety. Some places focus purely on treatment. So they're either like a large shelter, or they have a lot of emergency cases that come in. And so you'll be involved in emergency critical care. And this is also, it's all sorts of animals. So we have obviously the standard dog and cat, and then horse, some livestock, and then some cool exotics.
Really? I didn't know WVS did exotic ones.
Some of the projects that we work with, there was a one that worked with turtles in Grenada. That one was at the SPCA in Grenada. Yes, very cool. Nice. And there's one in Bolivia, and I'm very naughty, I can't remember the name of it, but that they work with all sorts of animals there. So there's a big wide variety of opportunities. And so some of those are just sort of drop in whenever you want. And there are some charities who are looking for to cover specific periods. So they'll want to be doing a 2-week mass sterilization campaign, for example. And so we'll be working with them, looking for vets to come just for a specific 2-week period, where they'll do high volume spay neuter, normally of dogs, sometimes of cats. Okay. Those are the only 2 species. I was about to say another one, but there really isn't.
That's amazing.
And so then you can get involved, and then that's mostly vets and vet nurses are those opportunities, because we want people who can come and do high volume spay neuter, who will be able to cope in normally a quite rustic style of operating, but at the highest possible standards. One of the things that WVS prides itself on, so we have our international training centres, and we adhere to protocols that would be accepted in the UK. So all of our sterility, the anaesthetic protocols, the pre and post-op checks, all of that sort of thing would pass a UK sort of veterinary standard.
Nice.
And the training that we provide to local vets shows them how to do that with limited resources, because it really is possible. It really is. You don't have to cut corners. You don't have to break asepsis. You can have drapes. You can have like proper anesthetic protocols. You don't have to have dogs waking up on the table or post-op infections. One of the things we often get asked is, what percentage of post-op infections do you have? And we're like barely any.
What are those?
We don't frequently have dogs coming back with complete wound dehiscence of their surgery. Like it just doesn't happen, because we make sure we get it right, and we track how well we do it, and we make changes where necessary. And so all the charities that we work with, we try and make sure that they work to those standards as well, and we'll provide them with our protocols and our guidance all through that, so that when volunteers come out, you're able to jump in and be really proud of the work that you're doing. And so we've got some really amazing charities that we work with.
So cool. I know.
It's so
amazing. So freaking cool.
And so for all of those opportunities, again, wvs.org.uk, you can filter the projects for your specialist ability, so vet nurse, non-veterinary.
Okay.
Or for locations, so you can either do like Asia or Africa or South America, most popular areas, couple in Europe. And yeah, it'll show you all of the opportunities. It really varies in terms of what you need to pay for those. The majority of the projects, so we don't generally make a profit off of the volunteer fee. It'll just cover your food and accommodation in country. And sometimes there's a like a supporting fee for the local charity. And to run all of the admin and everything behind the WVS projects, we charge £50 that covers all of the admin, and that means that we'll provide you with all of your pre and post trip help, so helping with visas and flight advice and all of that sort of stuff, putting you in contact with all of the charities and supporting you throughout the whole project.
Yeah. And truly, I was quite surprised to see how like affordable the trips were, because, you know, I know that that's kind of another daunting factor that people think is like, how the heck can I afford it? And while, you know, you can always travel solo and kind of explore these options on your own if you're more comfortable, but there are organizations like Mission Rabies and WVS where you still essentially pay for like a veterinary travel agent in a way, but it's really not going to break your bank, and it's feasible as long as you're willing to figure it out, you know. So
yeah, I think the main trouble isn't it, it's the flights, especially like coming from the UK. If you're going further abroad than Europe, that's where the big costs come in the visas and stuff, isn't it? But
Absolutely. But you're going to have to factor that into any type of volunteer experience that you have, you know? So, but yeah, totally. Yeah. We're not the type of people that'll be like, it's so, you know, just come up with the money. Totally. It's a lot more work than that, but there are affordable options. Yeah. It's worth it. You can make it work if you want to, you know, if you're really interested in it, but well,
amazing. Yeah. And just before we finish, give us a list, you amazing superwoman, of all of the places that your career has taken you around the world, because I want to know.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll attempt to do it in order. Let's see. So Sri Lanka, working with an incredible charity called Dogstar. So that was rabies control. India, of course, multiple places. So Goa and Ranchi mainly that we work in. Tanzania, my very first project that I ran myself solo, working with Mwawa Africa, about 50 kilometers away from Mount Kilimanjaro in the foothills.
Amazing.
Which was amazing.
Did you do it? Did you climb it?
You know, Lucy?
I did not climb it. No.
Oh gosh.
Next time.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Amy will do it. Yeah, she'll do it.
Yes. Malawi, of course, down in Blantyre, and we got to do a little outreach project out to the outskirts of Lake Malawi, which was just stunning.
Amazing.
Uganda, so working on the outskirts of Burundi National Park, which is where all the gorillas live, so vaccinating all of the dogs and then protecting the wildlife that live on the outskirts of the forests there. Myanmar, absolutely amazing. I did 5 weeks in Myanmar as a prep towards a sterilization project, doing dog population surveys. Some of the most well-fed street dogs I have seen in my life. I recorded some as obese, like, and the most friendly people. They were amazing. Cambodia, of course, the project that I'm currently working on, doing surveillance, working in Phnom Penh, again, incredible communities and really committed governments. And Thailand, I think those are all the ones that I've done.
Amazing.
And then we also work as a charity in Ghana and Haiti and many other places beyond.
So amazing.
So cool. And I know some of it was volunteer, but a large majority of it was while you were working. Like this was your actual job. So it doesn't always have to be a volunteer. Yeah, literally she got paid to do this stuff. Like wild.
So
wild.
So lucky.
So those people thinking, because people do, and I bet you get this all the time. People go, I wish I had your life. People can do it. If we can do it, you can do this. Anyone can do it. All you need is the drive and the willingness to put yourself out there, because these things don't always just come to you. Like you put in all this work since you were a vet student, you know, like anyone can do it. This is what I say to anyone. I'm like, go and do it. Like, please take the jump and just do it.
Yeah, 100%. All you need is a love of animals, an open mind, and adaptability. And that's pretty much all you need to, you don't have to make this your life, but you certainly can enjoy an incredible experience. And there's like so many options out there. So many.
Yeah. So many.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for talking with us. Like, I'm just mind blown.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a while to unpack all that. Wild.
No problem at all.
Wild.
So it's been really great to chat to you girls.
Yes.
And you.
Is there anything else that you want our listeners to know about you, about your work, organization, anything, or do you think we covered it all?
Oh, I mean, I think we've covered a lot. I've spoken a lot already.
Yeah, totally.
No, just get vaccinated against rabies if you travel to any of these countries. Please.
Yes. Thank you.
That is actually probably the main thing that I'd love people to take away.
Yes. Okay.
Because rabies, I don't want to scaremonger, but rabies is still out there. And especially if you're working in these countries, rabies vaccinations are really expensive normally if you get them from Western countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so's your life. And if you're working with dogs and cats and even cattle and in a place where rabies is endemic, please get the vaccine, because
it's just not even worth
save your life.
And this is something, I know it's tough because they are expensive, but this is something to consider anytime you work with animals. Like, you just never know. Like, I know that there's probably not as much of a push to do it in our Western countries. There wasn't a huge push for us in school. I think maybe about 25% of us thought that it was a big enough deal to do, but you just never know. You never know.
Never know.
Might as well do it. But wonderful point to end this with. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
of course, just check us out on our websites, and if anyone wants to ask any questions, all of our email addresses and everything are on the website, so feel free to get in touch if you want to know more.
Amazing. Yay. Thank you so much. Well,
thanks, Amy.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you so much. I think that's about it. We'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. Me and Lucy will come back soon with a catch-up episode. I think that's it. Thank you again, Amy, for being here, and we look forward to everybody listening to it. All right, you guys. So that's it for this episode, but we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.